Hi everyone, it's Simon Keeling here on Wednesday the 12th of March. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. This is the look ahead video and some lovely sunshine across many parts of the country today. This is the picture from 9 o'clock this morning, and you can see the amount of sunshine there across Scotland, across northern parts of England and across Wales, as well as parts of East Anglia. But you'll notice here, look, the bits of low cloud. This is low stratus and stratocumulus cloud that's been affecting the Midlands, parts of northeast England, parts of southern England through the course of this morning. Now, that's gradually burning away, so it looks as if this afternoon should become brighter and there should be some sunny spells for most, but it's having a big impact on temperatures and just shows you the effect of the sunshine at this time of year. Underneath the cloud we've got temperatures of sort of 7 and 8 degrees. Outside of the cloud we've got temperatures of 12s and 13s, so you can see the impact there that the cloud is having. Now, high pressure is in control, as you're probably already aware. This is the chart from the GFS ensemble model, and it clearly shows here the area of high pressure centred off towards the east. As I run through the charts, which go forward in 12-hour steps, you'll notice how the high kind of hangs around as we get in towards the end of the week. Although by the time we're getting into Friday, we have seen a front come southwards. It's actually pushed southeastwards, and what that does is it introduces cooler air into Scotland and northern parts of England. Now, the high still hangs around, look, through the course of the weekend. It tries to get back in once again into the early part of next week, but you notice there, look, how it's always Scotland that's in more of a westerly flow, so more unsettled conditions up there. The high then is building back into the early stages of next week and through into the middle of the week, particularly across southern parts of the country. We seem to have lost this idea of the cold northwesterly coming in, although by the time we're getting towards the end of next week, look, you notice how pressure has fallen. We've got this more westerly flow coming in, and it looks as if that is set to bring the jet stream back in, which tries to hint at more unsettled conditions during the week after next, or at least by the end of next week into next weekend and the week after next. Now, what you have to bear in mind when we look at the GFS ensemble is it does tend to overdo things. So it does tend to want to bring the westerlies back in a little bit too quickly. But what's interesting from this is that it does seem to underlie the trend for high pressure to be building back in and ridging into the south from time to time during this period. So we go back into a more unsettled westerly flow, but then the high does try and get back into southern England, bringing drier weather there, although we're more unsettled across northern parts of England, Scotland and Ireland. So the idea is that from sort of this weekend onwards into next week, we see this gradual slippage into more unsettled conditions from the north, although the south tends to stay dry at least until the middle to the end part of next week. And it's shown quite nicely here on the GFS temperatures here, the temperature fall that takes place next week. Look, here's the milder conditions for this week. Yeah, we see a temporary dip into the weekend. They recover, but then look, this fall in temperatures taking place during next week as those westerly winds set in and bring us more or the cooler conditions that we're expecting to see next week. Now, the CFS is looking like this, and this is what builds my idea of the more unsettled weather from the middle to the end of next week. This is week 1, so you have to turn your head upside down for these, but there's the UK underneath there, look, and it shows us higher than normal heights across the country, which is exactly what we're experiencing at the moment. If we go down to week 2, this is from the 18th to the 24th of March, what you notice here is that we're in a much more unsettled condition. We've got lower pressure or lower heights out towards the west. We've got this deep trough extending down into Europe, and experience shows that when you get that, we've got the sharp ridge out in the Atlantic. This continually pumping northwestwards here eventually will cut off this low, and I don't think the CFS quite handling this properly as to how the low gets cut off, but what I do think it shows us is a much more unsettled, cooler week as we head into the end of next week. And then heading into week 3, so this is taking us into the end of March. I have to say, not entirely convinced that this is the way things go, but what it's trying to do is to pull this ridge back in, pull the trough back in, low pressure out towards the east, or at least lower than normal heights, tries to strengthen the jet stream, keeps us unsettled and cooler during this period. I actually think what it's trying to hint at here is that perhaps the period from about the 22nd through to around about the 27th of March are probably in an unsettled flow. So probably all areas seeing some more unsettled conditions during that period. And then into week 4, from the 1st of April to the 7th of April, what we've got here is higher than normal heights down to the south, lower than normal up towards the north, and a generally westerly flow coming through the country, which basically puts us in unsettled conditions across northern areas, but much drier down towards the south, with some good spells of sunshine coming through during this period. So the idea of going back into a westerly flow seems to be there, and not as settled as it has been right now during that early part of April, but certainly there are these indications that we get back into more of a normal flow, where we're getting the ridge across the south, and we're getting front travelling west to east across the north, bringing more unsettled conditions to northern and western areas, and never particularly very cold either. In fact, it could be quite mild in the south on this. Just some cooler spells passing through more northern areas from time to time. So there we go with your update for today. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net, and whatever you're doing, have a great day and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.